Looking to build a better future in the Gulf, exciting job opportunities in Saudi Arabia for Kenyans. Competitive Manpower International Limited is currently recruiting for a wide range of skilled and semi-skilled positions. We are now hiring helpers for 1,200 Saudi riyals, steel fixers at 1,500 Saudi riyals, shuttering carpenters at 1,500 Saudi riyals, masons at 1,500 Saudi riyals, charge hands at 1,500 Saudi riyals, foremen at 1,800 Saudi riyals, scaffolders at 1,200 Saudi riyals, welders at 1,500 Saudi riyals, and plumbers at 1,500 Saudi riyals. Call us today on 020-222-4844 or 0721-506627 or 0733-392180.
Well, a very good evening to you and welcome. Thank you for joining us on CBS News at 9 p.m. My name is SHADRACK, and remember, you can send your comments and keep the conversation lively on our social media platforms, or you can also send your views on our number, which is 020-222-4844. But before we begin our bulletin tonight, let's first get the highlights.
Tonight on 9 p.m. news, Titus Sifuna, a Gen Z who was arrested for allegedly impersonating President William Ruto on X account, freed. Rest in peace. Leaders and Catholic faithful gather at Holy Family Basilica for a requiem mass of Pope Francis. Raila Odinga maintains ODM party is not part of the Kenya Kwanza administration during his Homa Bay tour.
So there's really no collusion between ODM. No collision between ODM and UDA.
Well, keep the conversation flowing on our social media platforms. Now, to begin our bulletin tonight, on our first story, a 22-year-old man accused of impersonating President William Ruto on X, which is formerly Twitter, has been released on a 100,000 cash bail or 1 million bond. Senior Principal Magistrate Geoffrey Onsarigo ordered the release after the Director of Public Prosecution filed a fresh application to extend the suspect detention. Downflow Lindwe has the report.
Titus Wekesa Sifuna from Bungoma County allegedly operated an X account under the username I Must Go, where he posted declarations that he must go while posing as Kenya's 5th president. He faces charges of publishing false information and misleading the public by claiming he would leave office. Earlier, the court had granted the DCI 3 days to complete their investigations. The DCI presented intelligence reports indicating that Sifuna had posted derogatory messages and images about the head of state and his family on a withheld X account. Downflow Lindwe for CBS News in Nairobi.
Well, thank you, Linda, for that report. Now, going to Kilifi County. Police in Kilifi County have arrested Habel Kahinde, a preacher from New Foundation Church in Chakama Village in Kilifi West constituency, over allegation of conducting cult activities. Now, Kahinde remains in custody as investigators probe reports that numerous church members may have died under mysterious circumstances. Led by Kilifi North Deputy County Commissioner Samuel Muchisia, officers allege Kahinde convinced followers to climb a tree near a church, claiming this would cast out demons. Authorities are investigating whether this dangerous practice continued to members' death.
Biblia ndio pastor wa kwanza kuona kwamba anjambeba Biblia Na tukimwonji wakati ameonjiwa pia anasema yeye anaamini sana kupeana maji ya uzima ambayo ndio anauza kwa shilingi 100 mitungi 3. Alafu pia naamini sana katika mti wa uzima. Huo mti wa uzima mnaona ni huu mti ambayo uko hapa, ambao sasa waumini wale wamekuja na ni kama wamepangawa ama wako na mapepo, wanapanda huo mti, na wakipanda huo mti mapepo yanambumburuka yanaenda. Kwa hivyo ukiangalia sasa hizo ni itikadi ambazo asieleweki.
Mimi ni pastor, natumia Biblia, lakini mahali nimetolewa sikujua hata nitafika kanisani. Ndio maana nimetoka hata bila Biblia. Sikujua kwanza nitakuja kanisani. Lakini Biblia iko. Huo ndio mtu wa uzima.
Kwani unaita uzima?
Ni kwa sababu wanaokuja hapa wana mapepo. Wanapofika pale na kupanda, mapepo wanawatoka. Sasa nitaita mti wa uzima.
Labda kuna watu wanahudumia
hapa ndani, wakati nikiwahudumia hawajapoteza maisha. Isipokuwa kuna mmoja alipokuja hapa, alilala siku ya pili ndio akaga kabla hata sijafika hapa kanisani. Wakati huo nilipokuwa Malindi. Lakini sijahudumia mtu pale pale na akafa pale pale.
Now, moving on, a gathering of the national leaders, including the former President Uhuru Kenyatta and Chief Justice Martha Koome, today joined Kenyans in honoring the late Pope Francis during a requiem mass at Holy Family Basilica. The leaders shared personal tribute to the pontiff, remembering his legacy of service. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta described Pope Francis as a down-to-earth leader who championed the poor, urging the current leaders to emulate his example. Now, the Pope's nuncio to Kenya, Archbishop Hubertus Van Megen, who presided over the Mass, praised the late Pope as a humble shepherd who carried the world's burden with compassion. Now, other notable attendees, including the former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka, religious leaders and diplomats, Pope Francis, who passed away at the age of 88, will be laid to rest tomorrow at the Vatican.
From the clergy to the Catholic faithful and religious leader, the Pope Francis' name was showered with praises as masses gathered at the Holy Family Basilica for the Requiem Mass of the top Catholic leader.
As people from different backgrounds, different religions, to remember and to celebrate the life of a man who truly walked in the path of Jesus.
Former President Uhuru Kenyatta, who had the privilege to meet the Pope during his tour in Kenya during his era, described Pope Francis as a down-to-earth leader who championed the poor.
Amongst the high and mighty in the world, but rather like Jesus chose to walk amongst the poor and those most in need. A true lesson, a true example of what we all call servant leadership.
The Pope's nuncio to Kenya, Archbishop Hubertus Van Megen, who presided over the Mass, praised the late Pope as a humble shepherd who carried the world's burden with compassion.
At the end of his life, Pope Francis lost his voice. It was very difficult for him even to speak 2-3 words. You have seen him on TV, still on Easter Sunday, as he was giving his last blessing, Urbi et Orbi, we didn't know yet it was his last blessing, how he struggled in pronouncing those few words, not more than 2 sentences, and how he was gasping for breath. He himself, who all his life had identified with the voiceless, had now become voiceless self. And maybe there is also our vocation. If we truly want to pay tribute to him, if we truly want to follow in his footsteps, then we should become his voice.
Other notable attendees including the Chief Justice Martha Koome, former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka, religious leader and diplomats. The Pope, who passed away at the age of 88, will be laid to rest tomorrow at the Vatican. SHADRACK, KARERIA, CBS News.
Well, and from there we end to Murang'a County, where Kiaru Member of Parliament, Ndindi Nyoro, who is also the former chair of the National Assembly Budget Committee, has strongly criticized the government over what he termed as continued borrowing. Speaking during a graduation ceremony for 1,003 youth under the Kiharu Fanikisha program in Murang'a County, Nyoro warned that the excessive borrowing will only increase Kenyans' debt burden. The legislature urged the government to develop innovative revenue-raising strategies, cautioning that the current trend could lead to debt management crisis. Nyoro emphasized that Kenya must find sustainable alternatives to foreign loans.
Kiharu MP Ndindi Nyoro has once again called on government leaders to adopt innovative and sustainable revenue generation methods instead of relying on international borrowing. Speaking during the Kiharu Fanikisha program graduation ceremony in Murang'a, Nyoro emphasized the importance of financial discipline. Nyoro maintained his stance, pointing out that excessive borrowing risks diverting a large portion of revenue towards servicing loan interest, leaving minimal resources for meaningful development and essential services.
We must be very prudent in the management of our debt. Whether we like it or not, that is a very great threat that we face as an economy. Ukiangalia fedha ambazo tunakopa kama nchi, I believe there is another better way we can manage our public resources bila kuongezea Wakenya hapo beleni madeni kubwa. Na tukisema hayo, tunasema pia tukioffer solutions. And I gave the other day, instead of borrowing money that we are borrowing, for example, and these are things that I used to say even when I was serving in the previous position. If you check in all the Hansards in Parliament, I always used to raise these issues. Government assets exist to make money for the government.
For CBS News, I'm Judy Chalo.
Now on to matters politics. ODM party leader Raila Odinga has reaffirmed that his party remains independent from the Kenya Kwanza administration. Speaking today, Odinga emphasized that the March 7, 2025 Memorandum of Understanding signed with President William Ruto at KICC only establishes cooperation, not a coalition, on government matters. The opposition leader clarified that while ODM and UDA are collaborating under the MOU framework, they maintain separate political identities and agendas.
Chama ya ODM tuliamua ya kwamba sisi tutakuwa na uhusiano. Lakini kukuwa na uhusiano sio kusema ya kwamba sisi yote tumeingia kwa serikali. Kwa mfano mnajua kule Amerikani serikali iko sasa ni ya Republican. Now they have a Republican government. But they used to have a Democratic government under Mr. Biden. Biden had some ministers who are members of the Republican Party, respect to the fact that that was a Democratic administration. Likewise, even Mr. Trump have got some ministers who are members of the Democratic Party. I'm saying Biden had ministers who are members of the Republican Party, and he was a Democratic president. And Trump has also got some Democrats in his cabinet today. So there's really no collusion between ODM, no collusion between ODM and UDA. But it is an arrangement which is based on an MOU which was signed between us, and it was on open daylight.
Well, and that story, that Raila Odinga's story, takes us to a very fast break here at CBS News at 9 p.m. We do urge you to stay with us until the end of the bulletin, as we still have a lot lined up for you after this short break.
Looking to build a better future in the Gulf, exciting job opportunities in Saudi Arabia for Kenyans. Competitive Manpower International Limited is currently recruiting for a wide range of skilled and semi-skilled positions. We are now hiring helpers for 1,200 Saudi riyals, steel fixers at 1,500 Saudi riyals, shuttering carpenters at 1,500 Saudi riyals, masons at 1,500 Saudi riyals, charge hands at 1,500 Saudi riyals, foremen at 1,800 Saudi riyals, scaffolders at 1,200 Saudi riyals, welders at 1,500 Saudi riyals, and plumbers at 1,500 Saudi riyals. Call us today on 020-222-4844 or 0721-506627 or 0733-392180.
Looking for a trusted supplier for all your household hardware needs? Look no further than Competitive Hardware Limited. We provide top quality building materials including cement, all types of iron sheets, paints, PPR and PVC pipes, electric pipes, building grills, BRC and square till in various sizes. Need interior and finishing materials? We've got you covered with gypsum rails, marine boards, ceiling boards and tanks of all sizes. For fencing, we stock barbed wire, chain link and wire mesh. And the best part, we offer free countrywide delivery with our fleet of transit trucks and pickups. Your order arrives on time, every time. Visit us in Kitengela along Namanga Highway, opposite 411 stage, or at our branches in Kitisuru and Busia. For enquiries, call us on 020-2688-888 or 0733-666632 or 0721-923248. Competitive Hardware Limited, your reliable hardware supplier.
Well, welcome back, and remember you can keep the conversation flowing on our social media platform, Facebook, X and YouTube, and you can also send your messages, and SMSs will be figuring them out one by one. Let's proceed to our bulletin tonight, where opposition leaders have raised concerns about the ongoing vetting process for the new IEBC commissioners, accusing the Kenya Kwanza administration of interfering with the process. Now, speaking with the press during their party's headquarters, Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka and DAP-K Party leader Eugene Wamalwa claimed the ruling coalition has manipulated the process to influence the composition of the electoral body. The leaders demanded bipartisan approach to ensure credible future elections, urging the government to cease interfering in the team's formation. Now, they further insisted on being consulted before the final list of nominees is represented to the Parliament for approvals.
We are aware of a deliberate effort to hijack the IEBC process. This is a critical process to our democracy, and as the process is drawing to a close, we have seen very deliberate efforts by Bwana Ruto and his regime to hijack this process, to ensure they get a Ruto-friendly IEBC and leadership. We've seen the leakages of certain names, their preferred candidates, and the shaping of the thinking on who should be the next IEBC chair. They are obviously looking for another Chebukati. We want to tell them we are aware, we will stay vigilant, and we want to see that process concluded properly so that we have a proper IEBC in place. ODM is not the opposition. Raila Odinga is not the opposition. They have joined the broad-based government. They have signed a post-election pact at KICC Therefore, Bwana Ruto and Bwana Raila, who are both part of the broad-based government and the main shareholders, cannot be consulting themselves. They are government, they must consult the opposition. And that's why we are demanding that we are at the tail end of this process, that principle must be respected and adhered to.
Therefore, we expect to see an IBC that will be transparent, that will refuse manipulation when it comes to procurement. So, as you join as new commissioners and you will have occasion to talk to them, you are not going there to serve William Samoei Ruto. You are not going to serve there Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. You are going to serve the people of Kenya. Please be different. Even, in fact, some of you can say, kulingana na mimi nimesikia Kalonzo akiongea mimi sitaki hiyo kazi. You will have taken a very important decision if you do so. Because ukichaguliwa na ingie pale, from day one, Kenyans will be on your case.
And now from political issues, now we go to Buruburu, where police in Buruburu have intercepted bank with an estimated street value of 8 million Kenya shillings in Umoja. Buruburu OCPD Mr. Francis Kamau confirmed that the region en route to Mombasa. Now, this is followed a tip-off from intelligence source. Kamau urged the public to remain vigilant and collaborate with the police to combat drug abuse. He also warned youth to seek legitimate livelihood instead of drug trafficking. One suspect is in custody as investigations continues. The OCPD further advised car hire services to verify client detail and destinations before renting out vehicles.
Usiku ya jana kitu kama saa 8 askari yetu ambao walikuwa kwa doria kwa area za Umoja 1 walipata information kutumia maarifa yao na wakajua kuna gari ambaye inabeba mihadarati ambaye kwa kizungu inaitwa cannabis sativa. Wakachukua hatua mara moja. Alafu wakafuata ile gari na wakaipata sehemu fulani ya Umoja 1 ambaye ni iko area za Donholm. Baadaye wakaset mitego, pakaja tena gari ingine. Hiyo mwenye gari ya kwanza ambaye ni KCU 077C Fielder Silver ikawachwa, lakini askari yetu hawakuchukua hatua kwa mara hiyo. Ndio baadaye pakakuja gari ingine ambaye ni KDS 072K pia Fielder na dereva. Ndio akaanza kushukisha vitu kutoka kwa hiyo gari ya kwanza kuweka kwa gari ya pili. Ndio askari yetu wakafumania hao na kushika hao watu, lakini wakati walikagua wakaona mwenyewe amebeba bangi ikiwa imejaa gari. Kwanza hiyo gari ya kwanza imejaa full kabisa mpaka mwisho. Alafu walikuwa na transfer ingine. Reason ya kutransfer tuko najua kwa sababu gani, lakini niko subject to uchunguzi. Kwa saizi tumehesabu magunia na kando na magunia ni 6. Zile gunia kubwa. Na kando na hizo gunia kuna zile pieces kando kama hizi zenye nimeshika hapa. Mingi sana ambayo alikuwa anachukua kubadilisha. Street value ya hii kitu yote tunaona ni kama estimate ya 8.5 million. Hii mihadarati imeumiza watoto wetu. Wengi wamewacha mashule kwa sababu ya mihadarati. Wazee wamewacha maboma zao kwa sababu ya mihadarati. Watu wengine wamewacha makazi kwa sababu ya mihadarati. Kwa hivyo na tahadhari napeana kuwa wale wanauza hivi vitu hawana bahati. Tutasukumana nao kabisa. Suspect ambaye tuko na mmoja, lakini tuko na matumaini kuna wengine. Na kwa sababu kesi inaendelea na uchunguzi ambaye iko kwa ilichukua DSA yetu wamechukua, pia tumepata kitengo kutoka headquarter idara ya ambaye inapigana na mihadarati, that is anti-narcotic unit iko hapa na ndio tuko nao hapa, na kuna wataanza investigation mara moja na tuko na imani watu watashikwa wengi.
Well, and welcome back. Now let's move on. Residents of Masa village in Makanga sublocation, Tongoren constituency, are protesting the destructions of their properties during the county government's road widening project. They allege inadequate public participations before the constructions began. Timothy Wekesa has the story.
Led by Abraham Merino and Dorcas Wasike, who claim to have owned land in the area since the 60s, they have expressed their anger over the incident, saying they were not given prior notice before the road expansion, which led to huge losses on their farms. They are now demanding that the county government of Bungoma and the contractor assigned to build the road compensate them before they move to court. However, a section of residents have welcomed the expansion, saying it will ease transportation in the area.
Mulitakiwa mulete survey kuja iseme hii barabara ni saisi hii. Tunataka tuchukue wake mikuu hivi, buku mikuu hivi. Nani alifanya hiyo? Wanilipe hiyo vitu yangu yote yenye wameharibu na shamba yenye walichukua kutoka juu mpaka chini. Inaweza kufika hata eka.
Mimi naongea ni hasira. Hii shamba kutoka huko juu wamechukua 1 acre. Nani atanilipa hiyo 1 acre? My question is, what compensation am I going to get from the people that have taken my land?
Hatukuamini kama hii barabara itakuja pita. Lakini kwa sababu leo tumeona kwamba ni ukweli, promises za serikali zilikuwa za ukweli, kwamba hata sisi kama wakaachi wa area hii tunaona hata transport and communication hii barabara sasa inaenda kurahisisha kwa upande ya wakaazi wa area hii.
For CBS News Bungoma County, I'm Timothy Wekesa.
Well, let's shift our gears now to Bungoma County, where a 17-year-old girl from Bungoma has taken bold action against child abuse by developing a digital platform. Inspired after witnessing a neighbor's child suffer, her innovation comes as stakeholders intensify efforts to project children across the country.
Sylvia Nekesa, a 17-year-old student at Chebukaka Girls High School, has said that she decided to create a digital platform to help address the rising cases of child abuse in the country. Nekesa narrated that the idea to develop the website began after a neighbor's child was repeatedly abused at home.
Idea yangu ilikuja whereby tulikuwa na jirani yalikuwa ako abused, kulikuwa na mtoto alikuwa abused hadi sasa nasikia ako somehow traumatized. So alikuwa anachapwa vibaya. Hadi sasa zingine alikuwa anamnyima pale pa kulala. So ilikuwa inabidi akuje kwetu akule na alale. So vile tuliitwa my first time kuitwa kwa hii meeting, tulienda na Londo CBM by tukafunza kuhusu right of a child. Hapo nikapata confidence through hii passion yangu ya kuwa computer wizard, nikaona acha niende app ya kusaidia children. So vile tulirudi hivi shule na kwa Kenyan Science and Engineering Affairs, to this time akatuliza kila mtu kama unataka project unataka kuhusu nini. So I was interested in child abuse.
She said the website includes sections on child abuse, child neglect and ways to combat child abuse. In collaboration with the Ministry of Education and the Bungoma County Government, civil society organizations and Save the Children, a project called Breath of Skills has been implemented for the past 3 years, aiming to improve the education system in the country. Here is Christine Awino, the Bungoma County Project Coordinator.
As ministry or at my desk, usually when we get children who are abused and maybe through incest, especially majority here are the incest, we have incest cases. So usually when I get them at my desk, we partner with the health department. We also partner with the FAWE. We do it as a collective responsibility, of course, and through the county commissioner's office. We usually do referrals a lot. Like when they come to my desk, I refer them to the children's department, and if it's health issues, I refer them to the GBV.
Awino stated that as a department, they have taken the initiative to equip teachers with skills to meet specific needs of affected children by involving various stakeholders. to tackle the rise in cases of incest. Awino said that her office is working closely with the Gender Office, the County Commissioner's Office, and the Health Department to ensure that reported cases are properly addressed. Reporting for CBS News from Bungoma County, my name is Wafula Masika.
And moving on, health stakeholders in Coast Region warn that malaria cases continues to surge due to climate change and poor waste management, creating mosquito breeding grounds. As World Malaria Day is observed globally, they are urging the government to intensify prevention efforts through public education and better distribution of medical supplies to the affected communities.
Thank you very much, Madam, together with the office. And I also want to appreciate you do your degree and then you go for your master. Malaria must end with us. When you see all you want to.
Let us all remember that the fight against malaria requires a multifaceted approach. It's not just about diagnostics. It's about prevention, treatment, education, and community engagement.
Coast Region has been neglected on malaria programs. Most efforts have been given to the western and lake endemic regions.
Malaria remains a major public health concern in the country, with about 70% of the population at risk. We have the highest burden in the lake endemic regions, that is around the Lake Victoria, Western Kenya, and the coastal regions.
Now we move to Kilifi County, where Kilifi County has received a major boost in its health care capacity with 13 million Kenyan shillings worth of equipment donated from AMREF Kenya. The new tools will enhance diagnosis and treatment of neglect tropical diseases including bilharzia and malaria. Dr. Meshak Ndirangu, AMREF Kilifi County Director, emphasized that the equipment will enable faster disease assessment and prompt intervention to prevent patient deterioration. The donation comes as part of the ongoing effort to strengthen healthcare services in the coastal region.
Speaking at the Kilifi County headquarters earlier today, Ndirangu explained that the agency is evaluating how to integrate neglected diseases control into basic health service. This integration will ensure that when patients visit health centers with tropical diseases like typhus or malaria, they can be promptly identified and treated. He added that this plan will enable patients' information to be recorded in the national health system, allowing the SHARE program to facilitate their treatment. Ndirangu noted that for many years, victims of these diseases have not been properly identified in national primary health care. Through partnership with organizations like the Children's Investment Fund, they aim to improve this situation.
Allow me to thank the Children's Investment Fund Foundation for that donation, worth 13 million shillings. They will be distributed in over a dozen health facilities across the county. And one thing I would like to add is that this is part of a study. We are working to gather evidence. Is it possible to integrate the control of neglected tropical diseases in primary health care? How effective is that in terms of patient outcomes? How effective is that in terms of return on investment, speed of care, patient satisfaction, and to the extent to which our communities trust the health system?
The county governor, Gideon Mng'aro, thanked the partners and assured residents of the county's commitment to equip all county hospitals with diagnostic tools before treatment is administered. Mng'aro emphasized that this initiative will reduce misdiagnosis cases, thereby improving treatment quality across the county.
Facilities zetu 15 na vifaa vitaendelea kuja kama mlivyoambiwa na daktari mpaka kuhakikisha kwamba hospitali zetu zote za county, at least kila eneo, kila ward iwe inaweza kuwa na vifaa vya kutathmini magonjwa ambayo yamesaulika.
More than 15 hospitals and dispensaries throughout the county will receive this treatment for assessing neglected tropical diseases. Samuel Mbogo, CBS News, Kilifi.
Well, now let's move to sport news. In yesterday's FKF Premier League action, former champions Gor Mahia suffered a surprising 1-0 defeat to FC Talanta at Dandora Stadium, a result that has left fans stunned. The Green Army title hopes took a significant blow as Talanta's solitary goal denied them the crucial point during the decisive final stage of the season. Now, despite the loss, Gor Mahia maintains that position with 47 points from 26 matches. This setback could prove particularly costly, with rival clubs closing in on the league leaders. All eyes will now be on the Gor Mahia's response as they prepare for their next fixtures in this intensifying champions race. Well, that takes us to our break, first break here. After that, business story now. But don't go far, as Cindy is coming with business news to just keep you updated about the business world. Now, Cindy is coming after this short break, where he's going to tell us more about many things and maybe informing us about the finance bill and all the processes and the budget, the government borrowing case that has been intensifying the country after this short break.
Looking to build a better future in the Gulf, exciting job opportunities in Saudi Arabia for Kenyans. Competitive Manpower International Limited is currently recruiting for a wide range of skilled and semi-skilled positions. We are now hiring helpers for 1,200 Saudi riyals, steel fixers at 1,500 Saudi riyals, shuttering carpenters at 1,500 Saudi riyals, masons at 1,500 Saudi riyals, charge hands at 1,500 Saudi riyals, foremen at 1,800 Saudi riyals, scaffolders at 1,200 Saudi riyals, welders at 1,500 Saudi riyals, and plumbers at 1,500 Saudi riyals. Call us today on 020-222-4844 or 0721-506627 or 0733-392180.
Looking for a trusted supplier for all your household hardware needs? Look no further than Competitive Hardware Limited. We provide top quality building materials including cement, all types of iron sheets, paints, PPR and PVC pipes, electric pipes, building grills, BRC and square till in various sizes. Need interior and finishing materials? We've got you covered with gypsum, gypsum rails, marine boards, ceiling boards and tanks of all sizes. For fencing, we stock barbed wire, chain link and wire mesh. And the best part, we offer free countrywide delivery with our fleet of transit trucks and pickups. Your order arrives on time, every time. Visit us in Kitengela along Namanga Highway, opposite 411 stage, or at our branches in Kitisuru and Busia. For enquiries, call us on 020-26-88888 or 0733-666632 or 0721-923248. Competitive Hardware Limited, your reliable hardware supplier.
Kenya's economic landscape is shifting fast, from new international financing deals and rising public debt costs to booming profits in the insurance and fintech sectors. Good evening, I am Miss Sandra Cynthia, and here's a roundup of the top business stories shaping Kenya's financial outlook. We begin our business bulletin where Kenya will next week draw down the first tranche of 64.8 billion Kenyan shillings from the 194.3 billion Kenyan shillings United Arab Emirates UAE backed commercial loan. Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi said that the government has the option of drawing down a maximum of 129.5 billion Kenyan shillings from the facility before the end of June. It has opted for half of this amount, pushing the remaining drawdown of $1 billion into the next fiscal year. Mbadi mentioned that for the UAE, $500 million should be hitting their accounts by the latest next week. He also added that they have finished all the procedures required and the facility has been negotiated and signed by, but the drawdown doesn't have to be a bullet. The Ministry of Mines has said it will ensure that the 1.7 billion shillings mining grant to the Kwale County government from Base Titanium will be released before the company's license officially expires on June 30th this year. Speaking after visiting the mining area of the company, the secretary in the Ministry of Mines, Harry Kimtai, said the Ministry of Finance had already received 10 billion shillings in grants from Base Titanium, while the affected community will also receive 900 million shillings in accordance with the Mining Act of 2016. Kimtai said the government is also considering a request from the company seeking an extension of 15 years to manage the rehabilitation of the mined areas.
The issues of release of royalties that belong to the counties. We are happy that part of the team in this committee is a team from the National Treasury. So they are aware that there is need to release these funds as a part of the closure agreements that we are going to discuss. That is going to form part of the disclosure agreement. So I think it is going to be left to be between us, the Ministry of Mining, and the National Treasury. We want to make sure that this is factored for the community to benefit and to continue with their normal activities, and also the county to have their share. And this is what we are talking about, closure. Closure means that all other issues are settled. We're not just going to leave it there hanging, and then becomes an issue that we still have an issue. For specifically, the Ministry of Mining and the State Department for Mining will ensure that we follow up this, because we should not leave the community complaining, we should not leave the county complaining.
Moving on, Jubilee Life Insurance has posted an impressive 34% increase in after-tax profit, rising to 2 billion Kenyan shillings from 1.5 billion Kenyan shillings in the previous year. The strong financial performance was largely driven by a 54% surge in investment income, which climbed to 1.3 billion Kenyan shillings, up from 7.3 billion Kenyan shillings. Total revenue reached 33.9 billion Kenyan shillings, supported by consistent premium collections and robust returns from a diversified investment portfolio, including government securities, equities, and real estate. The insurer also maintained a disciplined approach to expense management and solid solvency position, helping to strengthen its overall financial standing despite economic headwinds. Nizar Juma, Chief Executive Officer of Jubilee Life Insurance, mentioned that investment strategy continues to deliver value for both policyholders and shareholders. He added that in a volatile market, disciplined risk management and diversification have been key to sustaining growth. With this performance, Jubilee Life signals strong momentum for continued growth and resilience in Kenya's competitive insurance sector. The International Finance Corporation, IFC, has approved a 5.89 billion shillings loan to M-KOPA, a leading Kenyan fintech company. The loan will help M-KOPA expand its pay-as-you-go model, enabling affordable access to smartphones and solar systems for underserved communities in East Africa. The funding is part of a sustainability-linked loan structure, with M-KOPA targeting specific environmental, social and governance ESG goals, including increasing sales to women and reducing carbon emissions. M-KOPA has already provided over $1 billion in credit to more than 3 million customers across Kenya, Uganda and Nigeria. CEO Jesse Moore commented that the funding will allow them to scale and enhance their impact, fostering financial inclusion and improving gender equality in Africa. On to our last story. Kenya's public debt service cost for the year ending June has climbed by 31.58 billion Kenyan shillings following the Treasury's buyback of Eurobonds and Trade and Development Bank (TDB) loans in March. In the latest statement of revenues and exchequer issues, the Treasury raised the public debt service budget from 1.91 trillion Kenyan shillings to 2.042 trillion Kenyan shillings, and the public debt service budget the public debt service budget from 1.91 trillion to 2.048 trillion. Treasury's Director General of Accounting Services, Bernard Ndongo, mentioned in quotes that this was to accommodate the buyback of Eurobonds and other commercial loans like the TDB. By the end of March, the Treasury had released 1.08 trillion towards payment of the public debt, leaving a balance of 956 billion to the cleared over 3 months to June debt.
Well, Cynthia, that's Cynthia with the business news. Cynthia, what comes in your mind when you hear the word that over-borrowing or the government borrowing and taking loans? Actually, do you think that, because I was looking at the figures when you were reading, and I think the government, the country is not heading to the right direction, the right position, because if you hear that the government is borrowing, there should be a way of repaying maybe the debts. What impact will that have to common manage?
Okay, firstly, this one will always leave to our viewers for them to be able to tell us what they think. They have to air their views. Because when I come to think of it, yes, there has to be borrowing. And again, in terms of borrowing, it is a debt that has to be paid. And this comes back to the normal mwananchi, the common mwananchi, the taxpayer that is. We might find that maybe the tax will be increased or maybe decreased in regards to how things will go. Also, keeping in mind that the US tariff is also increasing. Yeah.
And maybe this will be interesting to know in future how they maybe probably this administration will be able to deal with the debt, maybe deficit and all that, having in mind that maybe the country, there has been a lot of maybe politics around it, and we are expecting to see some reactions maybe from different stakeholders in the country. And that's over for now for today. On behalf of everybody at the CBS News who have made this bulletin successful, including our very able director Esther and our editors, our correspondents all over the country, we do wish you a very good night. My name is SHADRACK.
I am Isanda Cynthia, and as usual when we close our business bulletin, remember it is smart business, smart you.